Most people are living a life that was designed by someone else. Your career path? Probably influenced by your parents' expectations. Your daily routine? Shaped by social media algorithms? Your goals? Often borrowed from what society says success looks like. Right now, pause and ask yourself, how much of your life reflects your authentic choices versus what others expect from you? The uncomfortable truth is that most people spend decades living according to scripts written by family, culture, and social pressure. But here's what four brilliant philosophers discovered about breaking free from this borrowed existence. They each found different paths to the same destination, becoming genuinely yourself instead of a copy of everyone else's expectations. Kierkegaard, the sickness of conformity. Danish philosopher Søren Kierkegaard called it the sickness unto death. Not physical death, but the death of your authentic self. He watched people in the 1840s Copenhagen living what he called the aesthetic life. They chased pleasure, followed trends, and made choices based on what felt good or looked impressive. Kierkegaard saw this as spiritual suicide. When you live aesthetically, you're not choosing yourself. You're choosing what others have already chosen. You become a copy of a copy. He proposed something radical, the leap of faith into authentic selfhood. This isn't faith like in religious faith. This faith was more akin to the courage needed to make choices that reflect your actual values, not society's values. That's hard. For anyone. If you think it's easy, you might want to engage in some self-reflection and really see how much you are being influenced. Most people avoid this leap because authentic living is harder than conformity. It requires you to take responsibility for your choices, instead of blaming your circumstances, your upbringing, or your culture. Identify one area where you're living according to others' expectations. Ask yourself, if no one could see my choice here, what would I actually want? That gap between social expectation and authentic desire is where your real life begins. Sartre, bad faith and radical freedom. Every moment you're making choices that define who you are. But most people can't handle this responsibility. So they live in what Sartre called bad faith, pretending they have no choice. I have to work this job to pay my bills. I can't leave this relationship because of the kids. I'm not creative. That's just not who I am. Sartre would say these are lies you tell yourself to avoid the anxiety of freedom. You always have choices. They might be difficult choices with real consequences, but they're still choices. Here's one of Sartre's most famous quotes on this topic. Man is condemned to be free because once thrown into the world, he is responsible for everything he does. This captures his core idea that we can't escape the burden of choice. Even choosing not to choose is itself a choice, and we're fully responsible for the consequences of our freedom. Authentic existence means owning your choices completely. Not just the good ones, all of them. You chose your current life, even if you chose it unconsciously. For 1 week, replace I have to with I choose to in your language. I choose to work late. I choose to scroll social media. Notice how this shifts your relationship to your own actions. Nietzsche, becoming who you are. Friedrich Nietzsche had a paradoxical command. Become who you are? How do you become what you already are? Nietzsche meant that most people never discover their authentic self. They just accumulate social identities. He believed in what he called the will to power. Not power over others, but power over yourself. The strength to create your own values instead of inheriting them from religion, tradition, or popular culture. Nietzsche saw most people as living in the herd mentality. They follow the crowd because it's safe, but safety is the enemy of authenticity. To become who you are, you must be willing to stand apart from the herd. Nietzsche was merciless about herd mentality. He wrote, "The individual has always had to struggle so as not to be overwhelmed by the tribe. If you try it, you will be lonely often, and sometimes frightened. But no price is too high to pay for the privilege of owning yourself." He saw the herd as a comforting prison. People follow social trends, adopt popular opinions, and make safe choices because thinking for yourself is terrifying. The herd offers belonging, but at the cost of your soul. Nietzsche believed most people prefer the security of being nobody special rather than the risk of being authentically themselves. This requires what Nietzsche called amor fati, love of fate, embracing your entire life story, including the painful parts, as necessary for becoming who you're meant to be. Write down 3 beliefs you hold that you've never questioned, never ever questioned, never even thought of questioning. Ask yourself, did I choose these beliefs or did they choose me? What you can do to live your own life, uncontrolled by others. Here's what none of the philosophers we mentioned could have predicted. Modern life makes authentic living even harder. Social media shows you how everyone else is living. It makes you feel bad for missing out, entangles you in status games you didn't even want to sign up for. Consumer culture tells you what you should want. The question then becomes whether you'll notice what you are. Do you have it in you to stay aware of these influences and do something about it? If you're ready to explore more about breaking free from social conditioning and living authentically, we'll be diving deeper into these questions on this channel, so like this video and subscribe to us. Your authentic self need not be some mysterious thing that you need to discover. It's what emerges when you stop performing for others and start choosing based on your actual values. It's what happens when you quit asking what will people think and start asking what do I actually want, or what is my truth in this moment?